why anybody can have a brain. That's a very mediocre commodity. Every pusillanimous creature that crawls on the earth or slinks through slimy seas has a brain. Back where I come from, we have universities, seats of great learning, where men go to become great thinkers. And when they come out, they think deep thoughts, and with no more brains than you have. But they have got one thing that you haven't got. Cheat codes. It's April 7th, everybody, 2016. Welcome to episode 91 of the Cheat Codes Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. We're always excited to have you with us. The next hour is us drinking a few beers and going over our favorite bits from the past week in video game tech and a bit of pop culture news. My name is Joe Erskine. I am your host. We're coming to you from a rickety farm in Kansas where a tornado is bearing down on us and our damn dog just won't stay still. Today I'm here with Cheat Codes producer and editor, Mr. Joe Tinman Arroyo.
Because I am heartless.
He's yeah, that makes sense.
That's cool.
Cheat Codes contributor, Mr. Nick Cowardly Lion Golish.
Aw.
Put him up. And we're excited to welcome to the show founder of Stellar Jockeys and Brigador developer, Mr. Hugh the Wizard Monahan. Welcome, sir.
Hello. I don't know where wizard came from. But I'll take it.
It'll be clearer as we go along, I promise. Today
Pay
on
no
the show,
attention to the man behind the curtain.
Exactly. Today on the show, we'll go somewhere over the rainbow to get to the main topics. We've seen our own future in a new
I see a theme here.
We've seen our own future in a new talk show in VR. It's weirdly amazing. There will be an eSports Olympics happening alongside the actual Olympics this summer. And an epic god-tier troll hits the CSGO economy hard on April Fool's Day. For the lightning round today, we'll click our heels 3 times to make sense of the following bits. We're going to uninvent our least favorite things about video games. And lastly, we'll poke some fun at the congressman who spent over $1,300 on Steam games. Mr. Monahan, thank you for being with us, sir. Tell us, how are things coming along on Brigador?
Swimmingly. I just booked appointments with some of the San Francisco press offices like IGN and PC Gamer. I'm going to be flying out there on Tuesday to have a little chinwag with press to get the ball rolling leading up to release. So I've got that coming up this week, and at the end of the month we will be showing as part of the mega booth at PAX East. So if anyone's attending that, we'd love to have you swing by.
Rock and roll.
And otherwise, we've got version 1.0 rolling this summer. So coming fast approaching, which
awesome.
Given that this is 5 years in, it's just like, okay, even 5 years isn't enough time to just really lock it down.
You got a little Stockholm syndrome at this point where it's like you don't want it to end, but you're kind of ready for it to be over.
I'm ready to paint the walls. But, there's always more stuff to do.
Of course.
Do you mind for the listener who hasn't heard of the game yet, maybe like the good old elevator pitch for Brigador?
Yeah. Brigador, in layman's terms, is a Kool-Aid Man simulator, but with tanks.
That's brilliant.
To get a little fancier with it, I'd describe it as it's a real-time isometric combat game, like vehicle combat. Anyone who's familiar with Desert Strike, Future Cop LAPD, those are probably the 2 biggest touchstones. Visually, it looks a lot like Crusader No Remorse, or Syndicate, the original. We had that 90s pre-rendered aesthetic, but with a little bit of fancier tech behind it. So, you drive around and you blow shit up. That's the game.
Or you get your shit blown up, because that's what happened to us.
It is hard.
Yeah,
but what we're working on right now is a big story campaign that's going to more properly get players up to speed. So it make that learning curve a lot friendlier. But I mean, we have 130 different vehicles in the game, most of which will be playable. 40 different guns. So
zero variety is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Zero variety. Pretty linear experience.
Very dull, very singular game.
Okay.
But I mean, we've got mechs, we've got tanks, hovercrafts. We have the killdozer. There's a drivable bulldozer with guns on it.
Yes.
And I was actually working on that today. It's going to be part of this week's update to the early access build. So that'll be launching beginning of next week.
That should definitely just be the elevator pitch from now on. Just be like, there's a killdozer.
Yeah, and I'm crossing my fingers now for all weapons on the killdozer to just stun, so that you still have to roll them over at the end.
Well, so here's the thing: is that every vehicle has 2 mounts and a defensive special. One of the defensive specials is active camo, so it makes you invisible.
Yes.
So you can be a stealth bulldozer. Alternatively, there's an EMP that'll give you a good 6-second stun on targets in an AoE. So you can get like the classic scene from Austin Powers of you slowly trundling forward in a bulldozer with the one guy be like, no.
It's like that, or reminds me of like Who Framed Roger Rabbit as well.
Yeah. Fucking
What a World.
Christopher Lloyd.
What a world!
Flailing about. All right. Well, awesome, man. We're excited for it. Very quickly, let's talk about what we're washing the episode down with. When we're not skipping down yellow brick roads or dropping houses on witches, we're usually here working on a podcast. So when we podcast, we're usually enjoying a few beers.
Always.
Shitload of cocaine.
Yeah. Also hookers.
He's got us figured out.
Hookers and cocaine always. This week, we're tipping back a few Sky Hags from the folks at Airways Brewing Company. So, cheers to them, and cheers to you. Before you know it, we'll be singing the Lollipop Guild song. All right. Plenty to talk about today, so let's have at it.
Number 1.
The Foo Show debuted. I like that. That was good. The Foo Show debuted alongside the launch of VR last week, and it stands as the first VR talk show, at least that we know of. They spoke to a few guys from Campo Santo about their game Firewatch. I'm sure many of you listening are familiar with it. And watching this felt like we were kind of seeing our own future, the future of the Cheat Codes podcast. Maybe we'll end up in VR one day as, much better looking avatars.
That's what I was going to say.
there you
Very
go.
good.
The concept is great, and Campo Santo was cool enough to tailor some game assets so that the virtual cast of the show and their guests could walk around in a modified tower in the game. So there's a bunch of potential here, and I was curious about how we could talk about it.
Well, we make words and...
Right. Vocal cords vibrate, and we project them.
Sentences.
Right.
Just first reaction.
First reactions was like, I wasn't sure. I think when I started it, it was kind of like, this is just 3 dudes that look like the like polygonal rejects from That Dragon Cancer. You know what I mean? Like the same kind of like...
Yeah, it's got that they had to it.
Right. But they were like, it was literally a talk show, and they're sitting around like this round table talking, and then they're looking back at it like a screen within virtual reality of footage of Firewatch. But then all of a sudden they kind of like dump themselves into one of the towers, and I was like, oh, there's the rub. You know what I mean? Like the Campo Santo got together and did some assets so that they could actually make it more of like an immersive talk show. Like, if we're going to talk about this game, let's just be in the game. You know what I mean? Which was super fucking cool.
I think it was really cool. I was actually sold though right from the beginning, I guess. Even before they went to the tower in Firewatch. It's just like them standing around with their like, if you could imagine somebody like holding their arms in a sense where they're like turning their thumbs inwards and like forcing outward, so like their arms are like straight, like just sticking out from their shoulders, kind of like really awkwardly.
It's like they're playing a sick board game like Quelf, and they got the rule card where you can't bend your elbows.
Bend your elbows. It's like, this looks like a great show. Like, I don't know why. It was endearing, I guess you could say, like just to look at them do it. And then when they went to an actual game environment and actually like rendered it around them and they were like playing in it, that was the really cool part, I guess.
Oh, I'll keep it short because I agree with you guys on that. But I feel like they might be setting a dangerous precedent on themselves where when they get games on that they can't support the technology to get entered into the world
This was my question.
Kind of like, that's going to be tough.
You mean like an isometric game?
Yeah.
That's sprite-based?
Like, can they bring you down and show you the killdozer in this like interview?
Oh, well, what do? You just give everybody their own mouse, or like their own mouse cursor at that point? So there's like 4 battling mouse cursors to take control in a game like that?
What'd you think of it initially, Hugh?
I am. Here's the thing. Like there's with any new format, there's gonna be a lot of awkward growing pains. But I don't know if it's necessarily going to be in this exact form. But I do think that there's legs to it. And from a developer standpoint, I think it's the first time you've gotten a format that actually works really well with games, specifically because like we're not as much as the games industry would like to emulate Hollywood. We're not as pretty as they are for the most part, nor are we as socially well adjusted.
That's an excellent point.
Present company excluded,
Of course.
Oh shucks.
But no, so the conventional, like, I mean, I don't know if you guys saw like Notch showing up on was it Jimmy Kimmel?
Just late night in general. Okay, sure.
Yeah, and it just like these do not mix. Like they're the game developer who would do well in that kind of a format is a rare breed. But any game developer is going to be able to talk ad nauseum about something that they've made, and especially by being able to pull them into that format. Now, obviously, there's going to be limitations to like on the types of games that can do that, but that idea is excellent. And also, there's the other component of by having the representation and like the visual component of the show, not actually just be these developers and interviews sitting around in a room together. I think part of it is that most game developers, especially if it's like right after a release, look like they've been put through a trash compactor. Nobody looks good within like a 4-month period after you've released the game, or like in that window. But the other thing is that this medium, like the people who are really into games, you spend 98% of your time looking at things that are a digital representation of something. And outside of Twitch streamers, like the vast majority of it is you're looking at game content.
Right.
So it's like to have a talk show where you are couching it as game content, or at least in the setting of game content, I think is the best way to go forward, at least with current ideas in tech.
It's like in terms of making the developers feel more comfortable because that's all they've stared at for the last 5 years of their life or something.
Well, right. I mean,
point.
it helps forward that conversation, or it helps put that conversation in places where developers are going to be comfortable and knowledgeable. But also, because I know I don't have potentially thousands of people staring at my grubby, unkempt visage. I don't have to worry about that part either. It's like, oh, look at all this cool art in this project that I was involved in, as opposed to stare at my unshaven, like, powdery face. Like, it's like this is not, Game developers don't go outside.
Well, most developers would would get on board with something like this, no? Because it's a way for them to showcase the game, but still be present and talking about it in like socially adjusted or not. But like it gives them kind of a distraction or at least a level of obfuscation that can give them. Yeah, and this is why I agree with you. Like it's one thing to do a podcast about video games, but how do you show or represent those games well, right? I mean, this is case in point to us, and this is why I kind of worked in that whole thing about. Maybe this is our future to a degree because we're a strictly audio format, right? But video games are such a visual and tactile medium. Like, how do you represent it appropriately? You know what I mean? And this is kind of one of those first like big jumps in that direction. I think you nailed it on the head, Hugh.
I agree. Only to the extent that as a fellow developer, I would prefer that we move in a direction where developers have more of an incentive to shower and not less of an incentive to shower.
That's a good point. Okay.
So, although I agree for most of it, it's just I don't want to sit next to that guy who didn't have to. He's like, "Mom, I just did the interview." Yeah, well, did you like shower, shave,
did you wear clean underwear and shit?
Nope.
Yeah,
it was all digital.
There's one other component to this, which is that it allows you to get that kind of intimacy of an interview format, but from a telepresence standpoint. Like you can have like with VR, like that's genuine telepresence where like I don't have to fly halfway across the United States to do this thing with you. And I think obviously it's going to take a long time for people to get the same degree of adoption of VR tech that you have just with games in general. So there's going to be a limitation on that for a while. But I'm of the opinion that VR is going to be fairly ubiquitous, definitely in the next 10 years.
Right.
Yeah.
There's just too much cool, interesting stuff there. And like right now, I mean, Sony announced that just on like for their VR headset alone, they've got something like 240 different projects in development. Right. Not like directly under Sony, but like people who have signed up and have dev kits and are working on a project.
Right.
So like that's like, and like for anyone who went to GDC this year, I personally wasn't there, but I had a lot of friends.
Same with us.
Like
Same with us.
People we're talking about.
Yeah.
And now like there's a VR track in GDC, so it's like, I mean, I think there's an artificial peak there just because this is something that's just hit. But it's definitely here to stay. And like, did you guys watch Giant Bomb's? Like they did a just launch title review.
They did one for Oculus, but I think they did one for Vive as well. No,
they just put up the one for Vive.
Right. I haven't watched it. I listened to their podcast. I do a podcast, but I listen to their podcast as well. So I remember them talking about it and kind of like the stuff that was good and bad about both. But yeah.
Yeah. But it was just interesting because like I had been kind of following some of the titles that were shipping with the Vive, and it was just really interesting to see that like a lot of those games are just sort of compilations of mini games, but from what Gerstmann was showing, it was a really interesting I mean like they do a good job with the visual component and the green screen of like showing both what they're seeing in game as well as like what you're doing in reality.
Yeah. It seems to be the go-to on how to translate that for viewers. Yeah.
But as far as like just I mean gunplay and some other things like there's a lot of stuff that for me both as a developer and as a consumer, I'm genuinely excited about those kinds of things. And also like for the other thing I can say is that so like we've got a Oculus 2 dev kit. Not that we've really done anything with it. Again, like what are you going to do with a VR headset for a sprite-based isometric game? But
maybe it works. I don't know.
Well, we did put it on there.
I believe it. And
it's like this is useless. Like congratulations, your hypothesis is correct.
Yeah, you need to confirm both directions.
Right.
But I mean, like with the Oculus, I was able to get my 70-year-old mother to play, to like put on the headset and play Keep Talking and No One Explodes.
Oh,
great
nice.
game, by the way.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And we played for like 2 hours, and she yelled at me a lot.
Were you doing something wrong? Were you not listening?
Was it
to her?
justifiable? It was
It
justifiable.
was the classic, like getting into it. It's like, give me the blue line. Like, which one's the blue line?
Oh, Grandma Monahan, nicely done.
So good.
That's pretty good. All right. No, I agree with you, man. I think the opportunities are there. The sky's kind of the limit here at this point. But I think it is going to take some time before we kind of see it settle. But no, agreed across the board. It's exciting. I'm actually down to I almost want to get a Rift just to like watch this show. Although it should be said, this is kind of was like a demo version. Like they're not doing full production. I think this summer they were saying that it's going to start like full episodes and stuff like that. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's gonna be interesting to see the games that they actually get themselves into, what works and what doesn't. But super cool. Maybe we'll do it too one day. Who knows? Number two. It's good. A few episodes back here on Cheat Codes, we were discussing the perceived and actual legitimacy of esports and how it's recognized in the world at large. One of us commented that when they have, finally have an Olympics for esports, we acknowledged that esports had arrived. Well, yesterday the British government decided they were going to start backing the International E-Games Committee to hold events in the host cities of the actual Olympics for esports with medals and everything. You guys, it's official.
It has arrived.
Well, according to us anyway. But
according to us,
yeah. It'll kick off this year in Rio. Alongside the Summer Olympics, and while it's not actually affiliated with the International Olympic Committee, this is pretty legit because like they're gonna literally get some gold and melt it down and form esports gold medals. Like that's kind of legit. No, like I feel like that's pretty legit. They are considering this as a trial run as a way to drum up interest in investors. And as of yet, England, Canada, USA, and Brazil are sending teams to compete. No word yet on which games will be centered around or which will be the competitions will be centered around. But
although it should be fairly obvious, at least right now.
Right,
Yeah,
Mario
exactly.
Party. Yep, that's the one I was thinking. I kind of want Rocket League to be there more than anything.
Of bleeding thumbs.
But I think, is it official? Like, it's official, right, guys?
What?
Well, esports is a thing.
I don't know. Sure.
I don't know. I feel like we've decided yes in the past.
Well, it's easy
Many
for guys
times
like
we
us to
have,
decide that
yeah.
yes, but I'm saying like to the greater world at large.
Look, once Mark Cuban says it's okay, I guess.
Well, he did that. He did do that.
According, yeah.
Okay.
I think the whole the Amazon thing with their co-ownership thing is kind of more indicative of this being a real sport than the Olympics actually.
Go on.
Well, the whole they're gonna have people who are co-ownership, like they're gonna have Amazon and this giant league, and they're gonna be co-owners with these companies that are gonna be sponsoring esports teams, and it's gonna be more co-ownership, more like how the NFL or like real. Like not, I can't say real
Full
sports league, but like
like a real sport.
like
Outdoor sports or stadium
what's
sports.
the word? It's not contemporary sports. It's like
traditional sports.
Traditional sports. That's the word. Yeah, more like traditional sports teams have. Like, and esports are following that. I think that's more
telling.
More telling. I think
of
than
the
Olympics.
legitimacy.
Yeah, because I mean the Olympics they have chess and stuff for sports.
Wait,
and
what? When was chess ever Olympic?
Chess
sport?
is an Olympic sport.
Is it really?
Yes.
No, it's not.
I'm pretty sure it is. Yes.
Hugh, can you weigh in on this?
With regards to the
Chess being an Olympic sport.
Olympic sport.
They don't broadcast it. You're not going to watch it. Like they're going to do snowboards instead. But
I feel like I don't recall chess being an Olympic sport.
Is that real?
I don't think it's I know it's an international competition. I don't think it's directly involved.
all right, we'll have to look it up. Yeah.
Right.
There, well,
Question
okay,
mark?
but curling. All right, so at least we're on
Sure.
the right path.
There you go.
Right? There are
Right.
a lot of sports that are not quite as traditional
And that's-
that exist, and I guess
I abstain from this question.
I plead the.
Alternatively, I can just look it up. I'm at a computer.
There is that.
We
got-
have a bunch of computers, but they're all somehow synced into the show at the moment. But I do. So I have two questions that I want to put out there. Do we need instead of just people having like teams of stuff playing team based like MOBAs or first person shooters or whatever? Shouldn't we end up having more of like a decathlon based system, kind of like the way the real Olympics are, where it's like you need to like Greco-Roman wrestling, like you got to get greased up and naked, just like the old ancient Greeks used to do, and like
Whoa,
play
you
that
just,
game.
like, that escalated quickly.
Or even like but like
My body is ready.
or something more along the lines of like, it's great if you're really good at League of Legends or Dota 2, but like what we want you to do are these 10 specific things, and therefore it's the Dota 2 decathlon versus just being like a straight up team sport to make it more
I get where
quote
you're
unquote
going with
Olympic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're looking at like the well-rounded type
Athlete, e-athlete.
Yeah,
if
so you have
that's a
your
term,
you have your e-athlete. That doesn't roll off the tongue like I want it to. It's not quite right, but
eThletes.
eThletes. That's better. That's better. You might have just named the episode
right there.
I feel dirty now.
eThlete. So
Hi.
it's one thing to be really good at one, part of game, like one genre or something. But yeah, like testing the fortitude of an eThlete against all sorts. This is still great.
Not gonna let it go. Not gonna let it go.
Like being able to do a puzzle game and an action game,
Right.
like this and whatever. But I mean,
like a well-rounded gamer. Exactly.
as my biggest concern is outside of that, it's more just them trying to time it exactly with the Olympics. I'm really curious to see what their play really is, because it's not the Olympics. So
Right.
do it like now you're looking at competing with the Olympics, which I feel like is kind of a bad move unless you have this really awesome plan where you're going to move yourself into you're just like, oh, we're here, you guys cool with it? Let's just move right in. And
Yeah, during the
become a
open
part of it.
ceremony, there's a super cool.
to be next door.
Right.
Right.
But as it stands right now, it's like, hey, remember all those viewership you were going to get? Well, now you're not going to get it because everyone's watching the
Right.
fucking Olympics.
It reminds me of E3 a couple years ago when what was that? The Cube, that little box that they put out for Android games. I don't even remember the name.
Outside
The
of
Ouya. The Ouya.
Yeah.
Right. So they didn't have an E3
Right.
booth. They did it outside, and then
Well, if they do it in the Winter Olympics, I don't think they'd had that much of a problem.
well, they're planning. So that's the thing.
To explain, are you trying to claim that Winter Olympics suck?
They're not as fun.
They are planning on doing it every 2 years.
They're
and the
less
kickoff will
fun
be
sports.
The kickoff will be in 2018 in Pyeongchang in Korea. So go ahead. Sorry, Hugh.
I think you disagreed about.
So a couple things. One is, I think, especially with the type of I mean, there's certainly crossover between people who would watch the Olympics and people who would watch E-Olympics.
E-Olympics?
But increasingly, sorry, I didn't mean to sound like quite so pejorative there. Oh, E-Olympics. But I do think that increasingly people in the gamer demographic issue just regular broadcast television. I mean, pretty much the only reason to have cable TV now is for sports. And I guess you'd include Olympics valid. There as well. Sports and like morning news.
That's exactly
so
right.
How else do I get my Rogue One trailer, guys? Good Morning America. Come on.
The internet.
We can talk about that later. Okay. Yeah. All right.
I think this camera's from the waist up. Anyway.
Rogue One indeed.
Where's my pillow? No, what I was going to say is that I think that, assumedly they would probably partner with like Twitch, Hitbox, and like all the other streaming platforms, because I mean that's the obvious way to do it. Because you're starting to get that kind of penetration of esports into like ESPN and those sorts of things. But I still think the vast majority of your viewer base is going to be from online streaming. That's just like that is the format of esports. So I think for broadcast, it's just going to be like recaps and like special tournament events. So I guess that would fall under that purview, but I still think that like for most of my friends who follow any kind of esports, it'll be like they'll be doing stuff on the computer, and then on their second monitor it's just Twitch continuously open, with whatever they've got that's interesting.
We can share. Like it's okay if I could have the Olympics up on the TV and have the E-Olympics up on my computer. And
well, didn't Twitch or Twitter or even Facebook, like one social media thing, say that they were actually going to start like broadcasting MLB games or NFL games this year?
It was NFL games. It's
just
the first
Thursday games.
Okay, but we're starting to see that kind of like reverse trend too. Like it's all crossover now.
Well, yeah, I think it's like the first step maybe to actually removing cable television, which is kind of like the bane of our existence in some ways. But
first step for me was when HBO decoupled. I was good.
Yeah, that was great also.
So wait, hold on. So you mean I have to show up at a place with this computer screen to watch this thing I'm interested in at a specific time, right? As opposed to just being able to watch it at my leisure.
Yeah, it sounds fucking miserable, right?
A little bit.
I was traveling with my traveling with my brother. We were staying at a hotel. And it was, honest to goodness, like the first time I had watched TV in like 2 years.
Nice.
And he and I were just, it was like 10 o'clock at night. We didn't have to be up early, so we just kind of slum it.
Is that what you saw Notch on late night?
Good callback.
No, actually, it was a rare jewel of late night television, which is that there was lawnmower racing. Apparently you can get a lawnmower to go up to like 60 plus miles an hour, and it's amazing
as long as it's not cutting grass.
Part of the adventure, actually.
Okay.
So we actually did laugh so hard that there was a noise complaint. But besides that part, after the lawnmower racing was over, it was just like there is literally nothing appealing about this medium to me, and on top of that, I just became like grossly offended at its existence. Like, how did I live with this 10 years ago? And B, like, I would rather just not be doing anything than just suffer this barrage of bad advertisements and mostly
mediocre production.
Work to find vaguely appealing entertainment. Yeah, content.
It's like, wait, when did Naked and Afraid become one of the top rated shows?
Yeah, well, I guess because maybe even the networks are aware of where it's going.
They're doing formulaic.
They're doing everything they can to keep some sort of viewership happening while everybody else is jumping ship, right?
TV is like the Nickelback of of our entertainment medium right now.
Hey, if it's good enough for skater boy chick to marry, it's good enough to divorce too. So.
I had to do a Nickelback call out if he was going to be on the show.
Thank you.
That's pretty good.
I got
It was appropriate.
I received a poster anonymous.
I assumed that you were gonna get like 1,000, dude. Like I don't know. That article was amazing.
Yeah, I really thought people were going to just like send you posters.
The barrage of Nickelback posters that you were gonna get was gonna be
a lot of jokes, and my friends locally have not let it go yet. So I've definitely been. I've become much more acquainted with Nickelback than I was previously, thanks to that. But
You brought on yourself, dude. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
You don't understand the Nickelback.
Could have been worse.
Once you drop that name, you're asking for it, right?
That's it.
Like I don't know. We'll send you our favorite video, the collection of Nickelgraph memes.
Nickelback.
If you haven't seen them already, and then you'll
Sounds dreadful.
wish you had never seen it. It'll be like, can we switch back to lawnmower racing, please?
Hey, don't you diss lawnmower racing?
I was saying it was the preferred medium.
I actually have a quick question before we're going to move on to the next topic in a second here. But I do. Was that on ESPN 3 or the Ocho?
ESPN
Yocho, yeah.
Right. Like, because honestly, at which ESPN gets the benefit of showing lawnmower
That's the
racing?
thing. Because it was broadcast television, I didn't know what channel I was watching.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Clearly, yeah, producer was doing a bad job of the branding on that one.
Well, if you surf long enough, you find something mildly appealing, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the problem with, but to me, that's still the inherent problem with cable television because you just end up settling. It's like you're just flipping channels until something happens, and you're like,
I can't remember the last time I flipped channels. Like,
Well, 'cause
honestly, it's Hulu and Netflix and morning news and sports. That's the only reason why I still hang on to our basic cable package so that I can watch that stuff when we need to.
Fair enough.
That's it. You know, what do you flip through?
Also, eSports Olympics, guys, it's happening. Gold medals. Actually, we should mention this real quick. There is a bit of a backlash. A lot of the fans of the esports stuff are super pissed because they're not offering cash prizes like they would at the normal esports tournaments.
Right.
It's just gold medals, and I'm kind of like,
so you can bring one home for your country.
right. It's about
those
like
on eBay.
nationalistic bragging rights and whatnot. But I'm also kind of like, but it's not like real Olympic athletes get cash prizes. So
Well, you can always pawn the medals.
right, exactly.
It's true, and find out they're actually made of copper. With
They're going to
gold.
get so
It's got
much
a gold
money from
plating.
sponsorship and everything. What is it?
Yeah.
What's the point? You're in the Olympics. You got sponsored by somebody probably.
Yeah,
and,
that's absolutely where the cash comes from
Yeah,
in the
it's
Olympics.
like-
There's no doubt about that. Yeah.
and fuck, it's eBay. Sell your goddamn gold medal if you don't want it. Like,
Just wait for the Wheaties eFleets edition.
But even
That's what I was thinking about. Is like the you're already starting to get this sort of aspirational component. Like I used to work as a high school teacher, and I went back and visited, and I was just talking to some freshmen, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna become a professional Counter-Strike player." Or like I'm working on Dota 2, and I'm like, really? Like that's this is a thing that people like aspire. I mean, it makes sense. It's like, I like video games. Why not do it all the time?
make money, yeah.
No, but there's scholarships now for it. There's, I mean, everything.
it's weird because
But there's no pro gamer that goes above like 25. You know what I mean?
No, I don't understand. It makes a lot of sense. Like what you're saying. It's like all these. I don't. I guess I feel the same way. Like you got these people that they're becoming professional gamers. They're going into school. They're getting scholarships for these, and it's like this really real thing. And I believe in it, and then I still don't feel like it's necessarily real. Like it's still like it's still kind of like this fantasy world that I'm living in. That people are like getting this money for these games to play games online.
Yeah.
If it's not real to you until you like have a son who does that, and then it's like in your face, and you're like, my son is a professional gamer, and you have to say that out loud, right?
Well, it's you guys were explaining the EVE Online thing to me earlier today, and,
right?
And I look at that as like I was explaining to you, yeah, EVE is real, and people they like base their Second Life on it, and it's like, as a gamer, I can accept that as them doing that, and it's like that's perfectly fine, but it still doesn't feel normal to me. Like, and these league, like these people that are playing in these professional esports leagues, it still feels like some kind of fucking fairy tale to me. Like I've accepted it as like I'm really cool. It's really cool that this is happening. It's just kind of like
Still hard to process to a
It's
certain
still hard to
degree.
process.
It's happening
Like,
very fast. I feel like.
Yeah,
So
it's like, oh wow, people are getting.
It's like slow down,
eSports,
everybody.
if you just slow down, let's take it slow.
Yeah.
It's happening a little fast.
Yeah.
I'm in my mid 30s. Like I need time to process these things. Okay.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Is that I think we're all old enough that we are adjusted more to the idea of a 13-year-old saying like, "Oh, I'm going to become a professional eThlete." Just kidding. Like that's how you get beaten up.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, yeah, man. Like,
Or at least it was when we were young, but anymore now it's maybe not. I don't know. Maybe that's like that's the big man on campus now is the fucking the Counter-Strike Go player who's like, yo, dude, I totally wiped out the other team.
Here's the thing I'm really waiting for is so like a lot of people in our generation and younger were had like this sort of disenfranchised childhood of dad wanting them to watch NFL with them and being like, Dad, like, I don't like football. But then us, as parents, it's going to be with our kids. It's not going to be football.
Yeah.
It's going to be like, hey, son, let's watch this Dota 5 tournament. It's like, Dad, I don't like Dota. I like going outside.
I want to play football.
It's the reverse rebellion. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, if there's anything cyclical about history, we're going to experience it in our lifetime for sure with technology.
No doubt. No doubt.
My brother, who's the artist on Brigador, he has 2 children, and they are both like 99th percentile as far as just like size and growth. Like these kids are gonna be just
Killdozers?
meat slabs. Yeah, I
Killdozers.
Human killdozers. And it's like this kid's 2 years old, and he's already like, you know, like I can tell you're going to be an offensive lineman.
Yep.
And your dad is going to have no idea what to do with you. It's just like, hey, Dad, like, you want to play some football? I don't know what a football is. Sure, son. Let's play throw ball outside.
Sports ball. You're great at it. Yeah.
Did I score a basket?
Yeah. Yes, it went through the uprights. All right. I'm a father too, man, and my kid's like in the 99th percentile for height, and so we bought him a basketball hoop really early on, just to at least for the college scholarship potential, because fuck paying for that shit. Anyway, all right. Three. Popular YouTuber Mick Skillet decided that for April Fool's Day this year, he'd post a video pimping a new feature in Counter-Strike Go's economy. He made a video explaining how to use existing and collected gun skins to trade them up for specific items and so forth. But keep in mind that the Counter-Strike Go economy is based in real money. So when fans saw the video, they jumped on, spent some time playing, and spending some money to take advantage of this supposed offer. However, at the end of the video, McSkillet explains that it's all a joke. April Fools and whatnot, right, guys? Yay.
Who finishes videos anymore?
Yeah, right. So one user calculated that over $53,000 was spent in hopes of taking advantage of this false deal. So was this epic trolling? Was McSkillet wielding his popularity to play a prank? Or should he even be held accountable? Or is this really just a case of, you know, beware what you buy, or beware what you consume, really, because if you're not taking the time to finish that video, then shame the fuck on you, right? Ultimately?
Yes.
They didn't read the terms of service.
The latter.
Okay.
Yeah, read the terms of service before you accept it, everybody. Who knew?
I mean, we can get into the nitty gritty here, but like, is this a legitimate April Fool's prank, or was this kind of a low blow? Was he taking advantage?
Yeah. Okay, before we answer that question, do you
gain?
mind if I ask another question that we answer?
I love having questions answer the questions.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
All right. So, what constitutes a good versus a bad April Fool's joke to you?
I laughed and somebody else didn't.
Okay, so Schadenfreude for Nick.
I think if you are literally
If someone dies.
Okay, Hugh
that's
is
a great
the
answer.
morbid, dark version of April Fool's.
right, we're gonna go like the full end of the spectrum on that one. But I think anytime if you on April Fool's Day, if you're unsavvy, I was gonna say dumb, but I'll call it unsavvy enough to read the internet and assume that everything you're reading is real, shame on you.
I feel like that every day's April
But
Fool's Day.
you're not answering the question.
I'm about to answer the question. If you are going to watch a video on April Fool's Day about some game that you really enjoy playing and feel like this is some sort of like pro tip to get better gear, like maybe you should ask yourself a question, be like, I should
be studying football instead.
I'm gonna do like the Cookie Monster from Sesame Street thing. Like stop and think about what it is that I'm doing
before
first.
you demolish the cookie anyway.
Right.
All right.
But I'm just saying, like the point is, it's like I feel like maybe McSkillet kind of took advantage of people a little bit here. At the same time, he really can't be held accountable because if you didn't watch the full video, then shame on you. Like ultimately, like it's like all that content is there. You need to digest the whole thing before you can make it like a.
All right. So
was it released on April Fool's Day? Like
I think so. Yeah,
it was. Yeah.
Like,
so Joe answered his question, not mine. That's fine. No worries. So I guess it's politics season, so we'll just deal with that. Hugh, I'm curious.
Yo, there's a bird. A bird just flew down on my microphone just now. You should have seen it. It was amazing.
Birdie. Hugh, where's the cutoff line? Like where's the joke where that's the one where you're like that's inappropriate or stupid or not worth it for April Fools?
I mean, physical and financial harm obviously are the main things, or any kind of lasting psychological scarring. Like in a case like this, I think I'm inclined to have much less sympathy just because you're paying money for skins for Counter-Strike guns. So
enjoy.
I think
you probably would have spent that money anyway
in the first place. Yep. And like I realize it's sort of a betting economy, so it's sort of its own sort of microcosmic stock market. I personally, it doesn't truck with me, and I enjoyed Counter-Strike like 1.6 and Source, and like I'll occasionally play Go ? Like yeah, I probably got like 60 hours in Go, but I'm not like I'm not a Counter-Strike player.
Right.
Like I do not. I do not know the proest of strats. And I would probably get yelled at a lot for bad like flashbang placement. But I just it's not this sort of meta component to games. Like I was already checked out as soon as TF2 started doing the hats. So.
Do you like hats, though?
Well, I'm wearing one right now.
That's a true investigative
because I'm too lazy
journalism
to get a haircut.
All right, so yeah, yay hats, everybody. But
really, that's where Jesus Christ.
No,
editor's nightmare.
Yeah, you're welcome. Have fun with that tomorrow morning. In all seriousness, though, but like, so is it honestly like if people didn't take the time to watch the entire video, it's their own fucking fault, right? Or did McSkillet? Did he just take advantage? I think it's a little bit of both. Little bit here.
What does he do? What is his YouTube personality or his video personality? Is his?
I don't watch him personally.
Does he give like professional advice on what to buy?
I don't know. His name is McSkillet, so that's the first. Like that
doesn't mean anything.
It don't mean anything.
I know.
So like, is this guy known for reliable information on what to buy?
Yes.
In the economy of Counter-Strike Go.
Let's pretend that the answer is yes.
Okay. Did the people not understand that it's April Fool's Day when they watched the video? That's the second question, I guess.
Well, maybe if you're playing that much Counter-Strike Go,
they're playing too much,
or Counter-Strike Wild, or whatever version of Counter-Strike that they're playing.
Did you say Wild?
Yeah, because I don't know. That was the sticker on the side of the video.
Okay.
Anyway, maybe that's his channel. Who fucking knows? The point is, if he's got that much of a dedicated following that he was going to disrupt the entire game's economy with a $50,000 to $55,000 worth of fluctuation based on common or rare skins to get common or a rare item based on a drop, like he was manipulating a system that he knew he could. You know what I mean?
Maybe
the point is he absolved himself at the end of his video, but unless you watched it, then shame on you. Well, then, ultimately, right?
I suppose that's their fault. I mean, it's odd that I feel like I've heard 2 stories this year already about like mishaps and April Fool's jokes where people like it cost them their job or it cost them a bunch of money.
The mic
already.
Drop thing.
There was the one for the Google where they dropped it was the drop the mic button and it was next to the send button. So when you press that on your send email, it doesn't allow people to respond to you anymore. And I don't know if that's actually true, if it was a huge PR stunt or not, but it's just
the whole thing is an April Fool's joke, including the guy who got fired. Like I think the whole thing is a story. Like
I feel like it might be just a story, but this is the second one where I heard was like is somebody that it impacted them financially as opposed to last year. It was like I don't know. I don't even remember what last year's was because it didn't impact anybody financially.
Okay, but let's brass tacks though. Okay, despite the fact that he achieved his goal in pulling off a prank, and shame on you if you fell victim to it, I guess is what we're getting to. Was it a good one? Because to me, I'm on board with you in the concept of like if you're extracting money from people, then it's not really particularly a good joke. Like I don't really think that's a fun joke.
Right, but at the same time, it's not like he's making money off it.
But it doesn't matter. It's not about that he did a joke that involves people hemorrhaging cash.
Exactly. I'm qualifying it appropriately. I'm not saying that he's right or wrong. Hugh, you've been waiting very patiently, and I appreciate that. Please chime in and set us straight here.
No, I was just I was gritting earlier at the I totally just blanked.
TF2 hats.
No, post TF2. Sorry, I totally lost it.
It's okay. That's what
it happens.
The
It happens.
The beard.
I was just saying,
It's totally normal, dude. No, honestly, don't worry.
Go ahead.
is it his fault? He's not selling anything.
No, not is it his fault. We've already established that it's pretty much the fault of other people for falling into that trap.
I think by and large, that's
good
accurate.
joke? That's what I want to know. I want to know if anyone thought that
it's
was
a dumb
funny
fucking
or
joke.
good.
It's too specific to be a good joke. It's too specific.
That's an answer, and is it his fault? I think. Like, is it his fault for telling a bad joke? I guess. Was it a bad joke? Like, do you guys think it was a good joke? Like,
No, it wasn't.
I don't know. If I was a CS:GO player, I would, and maybe I'd been roped into it, and I spent some money on a couple skins and found out that it was fake. I'd probably be pissed. And I'm not a CS:GO player at all, and I'm reading this and being like, I don't know, yeah, like awesome. Like he trolled the shit out of his entire community, and to me, that's a little bit funny.
So is this an end run?
In fact, it's a lot. It's a lot funny.
Not affected by this.
Right.
I find this hilarious.
Exactly.
Okay, all right.
That's what I'm saying. So it's not just a little bit funny. It's kind of like great hilarious.
So
but
is this an Enron case where like people were misled about like what they should invest in and?
Well, okay. Well, there you go.
So I'm
now
like,
he just blew it wide open into a whole different.
Okay, so I think in this particular case, it's also depending on how much you interact with the system and what your expectations are there, right? So it's like,
yes.
Who's the really loud guy who's on like MSNBC, who has the stocks show?
I know who you're talking about, the bald guy.
Like B movie version Louis C.K.
B movie version.
Wow, that was perfect. Yeah. Yep.
That whatever his name is, it's like that dude can never do an April Fool's joke,
right,
relating to his show.
Sure,
because it's like
real economy
will die,
yeah.
but people will kill themselves because of shit that they did based on your joke, and then they lost all of their money. And even if it's like the dumbest, most transparent thing, like one of the things I've learned from game development is that if there is a thing that is possible, someone's gonna do it.
Yeah.
There's no threshold for like this is something that is so dumb or so ridiculous or so obvious that it precludes anyone's interaction. It's like no. You sir dramatically underestimate the power of the human intellect.
Sure. Yes.
Wait, did you say underestimate or overestimate?
Well, underestimate because some people really got it going up here.
I feel like that sentence would be true in either way.
So dumb that they're brilliant.
I get it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like
How many
it's
toothpicks?
Beavis and Butthead.
How
The
many
characters are
toothpicks?
dumb, creator is genius. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Damn it, Bobby.
Oh, Jim Cramer, by the way, host of Mad Money.
Kramer, yeah, we go.
Yeah, Jim Cramer.
Mad, yeah. Anyway, so, and that's the thing. Like if that is a YouTube show that, or like if he has a streamer, I'm not familiar with him either, so I can't really be a proper pundit on this sort of thing. But if it is a known thing that like he is someone that people go to for advice about like manipulating the CS:GO skin stocks, then it's like, yeah, that's actually probably bad form. But if he's just like, CS:GO streamer, crazy skin stuff, it's like, okay, well, that actually is probably pretty funny, and you should have watched the whole video. But I don't know. I don't know what he sounds like.
I think you kind of wrapped it up very nicely there. But that's a nice distinction to make. Depending on level of popularity, like you have a certain response. I don't know.
I personally still feel
I don't care either. So
I personally still feel like the best April Fool's jokes are not actually dupes. I know that the purpose of April Fools to many people is to do exactly that, but I think there's a difference between fooling somebody and fooling around. And the things I like the most about April Fools are when large companies are willing to just laugh at themselves and do something where there's no way in hell that anyone would believe it was real. Yeah,
Sony
but you laugh
like because the drop the mic button,
right? Because they can. Well, to me, I'm thinking of the toilet paper that's actually made of
artisanal toilet paper.
Yeah,
it's the best one.
There was the wool tampons, and then there's the vagina beer, which I'm still not sure is fake. that one's got me.
The vagina yeast beer.
Yeah,
you gotta say specifically.
Everything. It's like weird, huh? Maybe that's all I was looking for. I don't know.
Just a way to tie it all together.
So long as these April Fool's jokes involve the nether regions, I'm
in. Yeah. I'm all about it. Like when Google did, was it Google Knows? Like 2 years ago?
Yeah, something like that.
That was genius. Like you have an app now where you can hold it up to something and it'll smell it for you and it'll tell you what kind of rose it is or what it smells, and it was brilliant. Those kind of things to me are funny because less than 10 seconds in, I already know it's not real, and I just get to sit back and laugh at it.
I want to see how far they take it because I'm going
hired
for the
a fucking production crew. They put money into this thing. And it ends up being kind of like a fun marketing ploy, but at the end of the day, it's better than watching a lot of people hemorrhage cash or
it's that weird acknowledgement that like we get that you don't like ads, so let's have fun together on this one. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Yeah, no, I get it.
I guess that's my personal preference.
No, I think I would tend to agree with you, but
I think it makes sense. I'm not saying that the what he did was necessarily funny. I think it's funny that people fell for it, I guess. But that's
That's a very specific and proper distinction.
That's different.
It's not funny that he did it. It's funny that people fell for it.
It's like when I look up stuff like that, and anything that is involving me buying money, especially in a game, I do my research on it. Like I was like, hey, is this a real thing?
Yeah.
And they're like, no, it's not. It's this guy's April Fool's joke. You should have figured it out, I guess. I don't think it was necessarily a good April Fool's joke, but I don't think it's.
But it's still funny.
It's not. We shouldn't blame him for it necessarily.
No, not
we shouldn't blame him for people for falling for it.
Nick, if anyone's wondering, before we move on, Nick is probably the guy who's going to slam the elevator door on you when you're trying to get in.
Right, he's just going to keep hitting the close button while you're running to catch it. Yeah,
and laugh.
Yeah. I just hope he doesn't have those metallic alloy things that the Terminator and Terminator 2 has, where he can like push it through the door and like
the reverse, crowbar or whatever.
Yeah, it's like that would suck because then they can get in either way.
And then it's an awkward elevator ride.
Great call.
I got to be like, oh, I wasn't gonna let you in, but now you're here.
All right,
we're gonna fucking Terminator.
we're gonna take a short break, fill you in on this week's contest, the results, of course, and to announce our new one. We'll be back in a sec.
Last week, we offered up a copy of That Dragon Cancer. You all came out in force, eager to get your feels felt. We're excited to announce the winner is Nelson R. Congratulations! To keep the giveaway train rolling, this week we're offering up a Brigador Steam Key made by the folks at Stellar Jockeys. Trust us, it's worth at least the price of a Nickelback poster. Be sure to check out cheatcodespodcast.com to see all the ways you can enter to win. Good luck and support indie games!
All right, welcome back. All right, panel, it's time for the lightning round. Here's how it works. We're going to take 2 quick topics and give each member of the panel a minute to chime in uninterrupted for the most part. At the end of each minute, we will award the panelist a quantity of some type of points based on nothing in particular. And as the host, I will be rewarded points from our guest, Mr. Hugh Monahan from Stellar Jockey. Plural. Stellar Jockeys.
That was me winking.
Right. All right. Eurogamer recently published a piece posing a question: what would you uninvent in video games? First of all, uninvent is not a word, but We'll get there.
If you hyphenate it makes it okay.
Only for spell check. So we're going to answer it. It could be a whole genre, a bad design mechanic, or just about anything you could think of. If anyone says cheat codes, you're fired. You're welcome.
The real question is it uninvented with a hyphen because it's on the next line, or is it
not a
because
question.
it's on the word?
Save it for your minute.
Yeah.
No, it's talking about the proper.
Mr. Arroyo.
Oh, hi.
I want to give you the first uninterrupted 60 seconds to tell me what you would uninvent in video games.
All right, I'm going to go personal, not really from a design perspective, but I really wish they'd get rid of fucking side quests because I have an addictive personality and I can't finish any goddamn RPG that's ever been made. Because every single time I play it, I'm like, there's things to be done. I must do all the things. And they're fucking boring. And I have to do the same thing over and over and over again. And I won't touch the real story until I absolutely have to. And then it turns out that a lot of games will just keep feeding you side quests, and I feel like I'm going to die miserably if I play games like that. So for me, personally, if you could just make me do the thing you want me to do or make it completely sandbox, I'd greatly appreciate that to every designer in the future because I don't even need more time. I just get rid of the goddamn side quests because it hurts me.
I will give you as many or as few grains of sand to fill your sandbox as you need.
It's a lot. Thank you.
But I'm just saying, if you don't want the sandbox, then you get as few as you want. If you want the sandbox, then you get as many as you want.
I appreciate it. Thank you for giving me a few or many grains of sand.
You're welcome.
I like the
hey, bro,
vagueness
I
of
heard
your
you,
reward.
What was that?
Again?
No, he can go.
I was just saying, hey, bro, I heard you like flags. So we put 200 of them in Assassin's Creed. For you to find.
Go find them all. And you can get an achievement for like 20 gamer points.
To like completely random places that you would never actually have any reason to go to otherwise.
There's a flag up there. You should get it.
Go get that flag. Or and the thing is for the people who like to complete stuff, you're gonna always end up looking at a guide anyway for that kind of shit because you're not gonna sit around and explore for 10 hours to find that thing in a corner.
Yeah,
it's fucking stupid.
It's dumb.
All right,
Mr. Golish. 60 seconds on what you would uninvent in games.
I would uninvent the keyboard for PC gaming.
Go on.
this is a PC gamer right here.
I'm a PC gamer. I play PC games all the time because consoles are dumb. And the keyboard was not made for video games. It was made to type. It has letters on it that say A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, F, G.
We know the alphabet.
Okay. It can be different for other languages. Okay. But the point is, like, how am I supposed to properly control my character with AWSD or ASWD, whichever they say it? I don't know. I'm a keyboard.
Do you not say WASD? Are you a communist? Get out of here.
I'm a Logitech. And I play with the G13 Logitech gamepad.
Peripheral,
yeah, and I play with that because it has a thumbstick like a controller does, where I can like control the strafing of my character. And I feel like everybody should play with that because you get a strafing thumbstick and you get a bunch of keys.
Your time's up.
And then you got the mouse, and then you don't have to deal with that dumb like right stick on a controller. So you got like the left side of the controller, which is the best side, and then you got a mouse. So imagine playing a PlayStation game with a controller, only holding it with the left hand, and then with the mouse.
You're done. I'm cutting you off. I'm going to award you 13
keyboards.
13 G13s.
Sorry, give him regular keyboards.
And one mouse trap.
I want
for your mouse.
Dvorak keyboard.
You want to? Yeah, great. Congratulations.
I'd give him like regular
everybody.
keyboards for that.
Rare form.
Well, is that bad?
No, you're fine.
You didn't give me points yet.
I did. I gave you 13 G13s.
That's not points.
Nick's off the wagon.
All right. We'll let our guests finish it up, so I'll go this time. It's not about uninvent, but it's about reinvent. Can we just bring back the rule book or like the cool thing that I don't need to spend $125 on like a collector's edition to get a cool book that tells me how to play the game, gives me a little bit of backstory and some control. Like I just think that was, I don't know. I know none of us ever read them. Nobody ever read them. I get that, but I remember very distinctly a couple times opening up like Warcraft 1 or 2. and just being like, yo, this art is sick. Like, this is a cool fucking rule book. Like, it was nice to have something tactile in my hands while the game is stalled that I could put away without ever actually reading, and then just playing the game. Can we just bring that back? Because like, someone does this thing where it's like, oh yeah, you can get the Bloodborne rule book if you just click on this thing. It'll take you to whatever version of their web the web serving software is, and you can like look up some PDF notes or some shit. Like, that's dumb. Like, I'd much rather like these days when it's 60 gigabytes to install a game, you got some time to kill while you're waiting for a game to install. So give me back the rule book, man. Give me back some content that I can like hold in my hands.
It's called an instruction manual.
It's called a strategy
Whatever the
guide.
fuck it is. You understand what I'm saying. Everybody understands what I'm saying.
Feel free to not award him any points. I mean, award him whatever points you want.
I don't feel like he gets that many, but
You get points in non-determinate amount. They
exist and they happen
positively to this conversation.
What specifically would you award him if you could?
Positively? Like, are they negative?
I have no context for this scale. Like, are we on like 1 to 100? Is there what's the min max?
Oh no, you're making the scale.
Think of it like whose line is it anyway? Where you can literally award as many points for in any
like
amount.
give this guy some strategy guides because he clearly needs them.
Okay, there you go.
That's actually a good call. It's a good call.
You get 200 pages. Is what you get.
Not the full thing, just 200 pages. All right, fair
And
enough.
it stops mid-mission
200
on one of
pages is
them.
a lot of strategy guides.
That's a lot of guide.
That's a lot of guide.
Hopefully, it's not just spells and monster manual.
It's a bunch of maps.
All right, Mr. Monahan, you got the last minute for this topic before we move on to the last one.
Get your damn Chivos out of my game.
Whoa!
I hate Chivos, or sorry, achievements.
Says the guy developing for Steam. By the way,
I can't stand achievements. I find them personally offensive because like I am enjoying, I am interacting with this thing you have created recreationally. Imagine watching a film and you've got a little checklist where it's like, notice the blue car at the top right of the screen 30 seconds in. Oh, I did. Oh, I enjoyed this movie more. I understand and appreciate the mechanism for achievements as helping to guide the player towards specific things. It's like, oh, this is a way you might not normally play. Try, like, killing everyone with a flamethrower. That's pretty cool. But there's other ways of doing that, or at least if you're going to have Chivos in your game, use them exclusively to point your player towards interesting content, as opposed to, like, here's a Chivo, like, drive your car 10,000 miles. Fuck you.
fair enough. I think
that's a good one.
I'm going to award you 100 gamer points.
Xbox.
Not an achievement. It's just gamer points, guys. You can. It goes to your profile.
So you can't use them for anything except for
bragging rights.
I was gonna give him the best lightning round minute achievement of this of this topic.
I think you won. I think you won this round for sure. I think we could all benefit from getting rid of
thank you very
achievements.
My favorite is
Let's
when
return. Let's go back when we didn't have achievements. Let's get back.
I was just gonna say, like, my favorite is like when I'm watching that like awesome cutscene. I just beat the game and I'm watching this awesome like Metal Gear Solid epic cutscene, and it's like an achievement pops up. It's like, you beat the game, and it just kind of like takes you out of the incompletion, the immersion and everything. Also,
Totally.
like, it's kind of it's bullshit.
All right, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. A congressman here in the States has been accused of using government funds to purchase over $1,300 in Steam games. Also, he vapes. Well, that explains why nothing gets done in Congress, clearly. Let's take a stab at whether or not this is a gross misappropriation of funds and or
Gross.
which games he should have been buying or which ones he did buy. One of them had better been Brigador. That's all I'm saying.
It was on the list, I'm sure.
Yeah. As long as it said $20, I assumed it was Brigador.
Everything that was 20.
Yeah, I enjoyed that joke. Anyway,
This is.
Mr. Golish,
Hey, I'll go first.
poke some fun at Duncan Hunter, I believe his name is,
Yeah.
which sounds like a video game
It's a
name.
great name.
Yeah, it sounds like a video game name.
Duncan's a great name, no matter what the last name is. I feel like it could be Duncan Potter, Duncan Hunter, Duncan.
This is how you're gonna spend your
donuts, and
Dunkin' Donuts.
I just
Yeah, sure.
My favorite NPC.
yeah. He's great. He always has a tasty pastry for you.
What?
What I feel about this is like, Okay, so he's this vaping congressman, and he spent too much money, and you said it was a gross misappropriation of funds. Is it really a gross misappropriation of funds?
That's
gross
what he's asking you.
Yeah. A gross. I'm saying the question and I'm trying to just spell it out.
Yeah.
Is it really gross? I feel like it is a slight misappropriation of funds instead of a gross. A gross is much larger than slight.
Is it?
And he said it was for his kid anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Makes it okay. Oh God, I'm so glad that's over.
Congressman, you spent $10,000 on hookers.
If I'm,
do you have anything to say about that? The hookers were for my kids.
Yeah.
right.
Oh, well, that's fine.
Well, we're okay.
Right.
Man. What is it? What the fuck is this?
Isn't like the term gross actually like a
it's 140 for 140 or 144.
144 of something?
Yeah.
I will reward you a gross
Dozen.
Yeah, it's a dozen, yeah.
a gross amount of G13s.
Thank God, because I'm going to need those when people realize
When the
that.
first 13 run out. I get it. Yeah. I hear you.
The first 143.
Well, I already ordered 13, and
All
so
right.
now okay. This is
falling apart.
it's pretty bad.
great.
It's pretty bad. Mr. Arroyo.
Okay. All right. I don't think that the amount of money is it's not large enough money to really matter. And in a place where we're going to do whole episodes dedicated to certain corrupt politicians that spend all day saying how much games are violent and then are running guns, from the Philippines.
Shout out Leland Yee.
Yeah, when that kind of stuff is important to us, at least there's a politician who's like buying games for his son. Okay, now look, do I want my tax dollars doing that? No, and yeah, he should pay it back. I mean, it wasn't enough money for it to be a big deal. He obviously made a mistake, or even if he didn't, he got caught and he's going to pay the money back. So cool, his son's playing games and whatnot. It doesn't bother me as much as it should, because he could be like preaching one thing and doing another, and that's kind of the biggest piece. I do want to say that the article was fucking stupid, because it spent all of its time talking about how he was vaping, and that somehow made him like more of a douchebag in buying Steam games. And I'm sorry, but I'll take the guy who's next to me vaping than the guy who's blowing smoke in my face any day. So vape bro, if that's cool with you.
Vape and Steam, get it? See what happened there?
Wait,
Mind blown.
I will reward you one horribly named vape rig store. It's like vape on the beach,
E-vape
bro.
cigs.
Or e-vape and cigs. It's like, and you know what? You don't even get the store. You just get the sandwich sign that stands on the corner that everybody sees when they drive by. How about that?
damn, that's
It's so bad.
Sorry. All right.
It's like
Next.
the worst thing.
I'm gonna do it, and we'll leave up. Finish off the show with our guest. But all right. So here's the thing. This is one of the worst and dumbest attempts for mainstream video game media to try and take advantage of some, like, hey, it's an election year, like, let's talk about congressmen that vape and may have spent some money inappropriately on video games. It was only $1,300. You can barely buy 2 Oculus Rifts for that amount of money, but we should make a big fucking deal about it, and let's make sure it's on Kotaku and Polygon and pretty sure CNN and even fucking like BBC and everybody, like even like the bigger name outlets, like even like caught wind of it. And all they showed is that dumb gif of him actually vaping in Congress, because he was actually debating like the whole vape, like the vape bill. Or do we consider it the same thing as like cigarettes and cigars and everything else? Like he was doing it to make a point while he was in Congress. I'm not saying it's valid. I'm saying it's a dumb fucking gif to put on the fucking article that you fucking dumbly wrote to take advantage of the fact that a congressman might have been like spending some money that he was probably going to be paying back in the first place. So it was a weak week WEAK WEEK for news. It was a week for news.
Week. All right, Hugh. What does he get for that minute? Very angry.
Give him a few cartridges for the vaping
You get 2 vape clouds just right
in your face,
wafting on either side,
sitting in coach on a plane.
Yeah. Just kind of touching you.
That
lightly.
silken white steam train exhaust, just puffing by.
The way you described it, making me want to vape.
Those.
Yeah.
Shell. I gotta bust out my rig, bro. All right.
They called. I want to smoke a vapor rig. Like, hey man, I got my vapor rig.
Yeah, let's do a vape.
Yeah,
Guys.
I just put a new coil in it, man. All right, Mr. Monahan, give us our final minute for the day.
I say go full Doctor Strangelove. Just blow it all up. I'm done. I like the fact that, like, here's the thing, like, there are such low standards for politicians in general, or American politicians. Like $1,300. Like, I don't care any kind of misappropriation of funds. You blew it. Like, sorry.
Yep.
Like, how? Like, A, you should be fired. B, potentially face criminal penalties. But because it's like, oh, you're a politician, we just assume that as a baseline, you're useless. And so if it's just like, oh, this guy's useless, but he's sort of benignly useless, like he only spent $1,300 as opposed to like $130,000 or $13 million. And who knows if he's taking like deals under the table. Sure, no, he's fine. Just pay it back, whatever. I like, if I pulled that shit, like, oh, $1,300 of company money for me to like have fun or whatever. No, are you kidding me? Or if I did a Kickstarter and then I blew $1,300 on anything,
other than the thing,
I might be able to get away with it because I'm being remotely clever. But this is ridiculous.
It's pretty ridiculous.
I agree. Once again,
sorry, I realize I've taken like the level of levity down. To
not at all. I think what you've done is actually taken our levity and brought it up to an appropriate amount of like social consciousness.
I have my father is a banker, and as such, I've inherited an extremely
deep respect for money and how it's used.
Scrupulous approach to money, and like between that and running my own company, it's just like it doesn't matter how much or little money you spend. The fact is that like you cross that line, motherfucker. Sorry,
you're right. No, you're absolutely right. The guy who's stealing gum when he's 12 is the guy who spends $1,300 on Steam games. Is the guy who spends $500,000 10 more years from now on some shit.
And all of them need to get slapped around really hard.
So if we slap the vaping politician, will that solve our problems?
No, because the whole thing, like I said, Doctor Strangelove, DC,
and that's why I'm going to award you one cardboard cutout of Slim Pickens riding an atomic bomb as it falls on. Yeah, exactly. As it falls on whatever.
I will be riding that A-bomb.
That's right.
This is. I want to point out. This is twice now. I think this is actually the first time we've had a guest on the show who's wrapped up both lightning round minutes and put us all to complete shame.
Yeah.
We're like sitting here goofing around.
Yep.
And then it's like, oh, god damn it, he's absolutely right. Like both times it's like fucking
Macho Man Randy Savage on the podcast. Yep, into it.
I this is actually why I feel like we have guests, because
they ground us.
They ground us. They keep us
remember
grounded.
when you guys were fucking stupid? Yeah, I'll point that out.
Right. It's like you guys are like, yeah, you do a pretty fun show, but you guys are fucking idiots. So thank you, but here's how it actually should be. So
also for context, I get really angry once I get like 2 beers and past. So
that's fine. And that's why you were perfect for this show, and we were grateful for it.
Yeah, we'll get 2 in you before you start the next time we have you on, so you could be angry the whole time.
Right, because and not for nothing, we would be grateful, man, if you would come back and join us, man, as you guys get closer to Brigador release. We would be ecstatic to celebrate it with you.
I would love to, but only put 2 in me first.
All right, we will.
If you mean beers, I'm happy to do it. If you mean something else, then we can talk about it.
Pretty sure that's how puns work, Joe.
Episode 91.
See me after class.
See me after class. That's the title. Look right there.
It's definitely eThletes.
It's gonna be eThletes for sure.
Do you really want to make the GIF for that, or the?
Yeah, I want to make an eThletes picture.
Yeah, I just want like a cartoon guy like wearing like sweatbands, like typing on a computer. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. You're done.
That's it. Right there.
We've done it. All right. So episode 91 ends just like all good things do. Hugh, it's been great talking with you. Cheers, man. Never heard that one before, I'm sure. Tell the fine folks at home where people can hit you up on Twitter or check out more about Stellar Jockeys and Brigador.
Absolutely. So you can find me at Hugh SJ on Twitter. And you can, if you just Google search Stellar Jockeys or Brigador, our game is on early access on Steam currently, and it will be coming out this summer. It's a cool game, blow stuff up, and yeah. I had nothing else more.
That's good.
No, I like it. Killdozers.
Killdozers. Killdozers the game. No, and like we said during the break, we're giving out a Brigador Steam key this week that we paid for with a Nickelback poster, or at least the equivalent monies thereof. Right. Thank you for being here, dear listener. We're always curious to hear what you think, so please hit us up. cheatcodespodcast.com, Facebook, Twitter. Get in on the conversation. As you will. Stay tuned for a new episode coming next week. Make sure you check out our giveaways portion of the site. We just explained all of that appropriately.
Free stuff.
So, always remember, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.